That should be working for me. Now, everybody else start speaking.
Okay, I'm talking now. I'm unmuted. How's it sound? I'm talking. Everybody talk. Everybody talk. Everybody talk.
Sure.
Well,
Everybody
they
talk.
can hear us on stream now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to make sure. All right, let's try this again. Wow,
The background doesn't look right without Max Hebner in it. I'll tell you, man.
All right. So for anybody who has the emote, there is an emote. It's "you're muted," and that's exactly why I always have problems with problems with audio for whatever reason. I never have it right. Anyways, thank you, Salem, for pointing out that we were muted. Thank you, everyone, for being patient. Thank you to my players for sticking around because it's almost 45 minutes after the hour. We tried to get a completely different setup to improve our audio here. We did some things. We tweaked some things. Things seem to be working now. And hey, thanks for coming back for the second episode of Land of the Lost. 3/4 of the last week's cast is back here for this week. Our fourth, who is now labeled as Lightsaber Pro, which I'll fix in just a minute. Zeke could not join us for tonight, so we've got back here Chris Ann, Amanda, and Chris. You guys, thank you for coming back. Let's go ahead and get this kind of thing started. We're going to go around the table real quick, have you guys introduce yourself and tell us who you're playing. This time we will start with Amanda.
Oh, okay. I'm Amanda. Amanda getting on pretty much everything. I'm playing Nev O'Connor.
And next up, let's go with Dr. Rubik's Chris Ann.
I am Chris Ann. I'm at Dr. Rubik's on Twitter and pretty much nowhere else because I don't do anything else. But I am playing Brick Walk on Land of the Lost.
And last but not least, Chris, tell us about yourself and who you're playing.
I'm Christopher Robin Eggline, and I am playing Justin Pritchett.
All right, so without further ado, we're going to jump right back into this, and we're going to get started. Previously on Land of the Lost, our characters, 4, now 3, but 4 members of a scientific club at the local high school in Santa Carla High, in Santa Carla, California, were invited to participate by one Dr. Catherine Hardwick, right? Is that one? Langford? Catherine Langford, thank you. One Catherine Langford. I really can remember my NPCs, guys. I really promise you. Dr. Catherine Langford invited all of the kids who are a part of the Explorers program to participate in a test. That test being an asset tracking system. They were going to use the local one of the local custodial robots by the name of Jenkins to make that test actually happen. Dr. Catherine, before she was able to finish the explanation, was asked to return to the facility with which she runs, which is the Scientific Institute, which runs the loop that is localized to Santa Carla. Putting Nev in charge to explain to the kids immediately kind of group off and immediately run out and go to try to find out where Jenkins is. We are left with Nev, Justin, Brick, and Cosmos, who find themselves reluctantly grouped together to participate in this particular exercise, with all groups hoping to be that prize group to find Jenkins and win a pizza party with one Dr. Catherine Langford. So, things go wrong from there. The kids, each group going off to explore, find themselves chasing Jenkins all across the school. The high school property is the actual sort of like limits of the test, and they keep finding that the application that they were asked to download, which was a part of the testing of this particular product or this particular effort, would report that Jenkins was appearing in multiple locations all around the high school setting. Perplexed, each group was running off. Our group was no different. Nev having a great idea that they might be able to cross the campus much more quickly through the underground tunnels that are inside of the school or a part of the school, They chase off, heading towards one direction. Halfway across the school, they find themselves in the underground tunnels, witnessing something rather frightening and unusual. Lights flickering, sounds first all around them, the normal activity of the school disappearing, and then flickering in front of them in the light, a weird figure sort of standing there. Sort of familiar, but not quite anything that they can recognize. Through a series of continued misadventures, running into the authorities, running into other groups of kids, the group continues to try to track Jenkins all around the school property. Justin, taking a moment, uses a little bit of science to figure out that by tuning into his AM radio, they are able to track some element of what's going on with Jenkins, because Jenkins broadcasts on an AM frequency band. What they hear is quite disturbing. An old-time radio program, a weird sort of thrumming, sort of heartbeat-like sound that can be associated with the loop, and then a voicemail of Nev leaving a message for Dr. Catherine Langford. But there's something off about that. Her voice is sort of modulated and warped. Finally, the group is able to track Jenkins down using a combination of the application, which Cosmo has been spending a lot of time with, trying to figure out how to use, while using a drone that Justin actually has. They are able to follow Jenkins all the way to a final spot, sort of on the southern part of the property, just beyond the high school's boundaries. And what they see is interesting. They see a much older, much more weathered, clothes-wearing Jenkins, who flickers in and out of reality or existence, and gives them a startling vision of what the robot says is to come. Visions of darkness, visions of dinosaurs, and visions of a school that is completely abandoned. Jenkins' last words to them are, "Help me." And then it was gone. As the four of them reassembled in the clubhouse, the explorer's room, sort of room where everybody was started from tracking Jenkins, the group discovers the younger version of Jenkins, or so they assume, a much newer version of Jenkins, one that is cleaning and participating sort of in its daily activity. As the four engage the robot, Jenkins gives them some startling information. Their perception of time and the robot's perception of time is different. And as we had closed the last session, as the group was kind of moving on to go about their regular activity, they realized that the robot was watching them. Jenkins was paying attention, and it didn't look good. So we're going to fade back in now to Santa Carla's Explorer Clubhouse. The Scientific Explorers, an organization that encompasses junior high, high school, and just 5th and 6th graders of elementary school. The activity is, of course, crazy in the room. Various kids kind of doing their things, working on various projects. I'm sure that we find Justin, of course, working in his sort of analog radio workshop again. The room is sort of chaotic, but it's a normal sort of chaotic. Now, it's been a week since you all were able to come back to the room and connect, and you were last left off trying to figure out what you were going to do next. How do we find each of you as we sort of the lens sort of comes into this situation? Why don't we start with Nev?
There we go. Nev would have, first thing she would have done after it happened is she would have gone to her grandfather and showed him the video. She probably would have shown it to Dr. Catherine as well, but especially after, her emails of what's going on, or her voicemails, but for sure she would have shown her grandfather to try and go, what?
Okay, so let's sort of like let's sort of play this narrative out a little bit. As you were trying to engage Dr. Langford in Dr. Catherine in as she likes to be referred to as in trying to give her this information, after your explanation, like your brief sort of like response and explanation as to what she was looking for, she has not been available to you. There continues to be texting, but she says she keeps giving you sort of the push off, but it's not like you feel like it's something that it's like intentionally just not not connecting with you. She sounds like she's incredibly busy. Like there are developments going on up at the research institute that she just doesn't have time to be able to follow up with you. Mm-hmm. So you don't get an opportunity to do that. Your grandfather, on the other hand, had left you a note that he was going to go to his cabin sort of in the remote area up in the hills, and that you should finish your schoolwork and do your week as you normally should, and then come visit him as the weekend sort of approaches. So you didn't get an opportunity to actually do that last weekend, as you had soccer practice and other things, kind of a thing. But there is a new weekend coming up again. It is Friday. We'll say it's Friday, and you might get an opportunity to go and do that. So.
Okay. I think then in the Explorers Club, Nev would just be sitting at a table or in one of the chairs, or just writing ideas down furiously, like what could have happened, maybe even going into trying to do some basic math that she might have known from trying to, I don't know, because math. Just trying to reason what was going on in her head with what she saw, what they saw.
Okay, and as Nev is doing that, what do we find Brick doing?
Sorry, I was muted. I was sort of napping. I think I was just sort of taking it easy, and I had this weird hat, and I had it sort of pulled down over my eyes, and I was still sort of listening to everybody, things that were going on, but I was just kind of doing my own thing, maybe writing a little in my journal, kind of thing, like that.
Where is that music coming from? I don't know where that music. Did you guys hear that?
Someone is playing. One of my neighbors is playing their music.
Okay.
Really freaking loud right now.
Okay. All right.
I put a lot of stuff on suppression, and now I'm just muting myself when I'm not speaking. So.
All right. No, it's okay. It was more like, do we have a Phantom Jenkins going on here? This is kind of neat. Okay. So, all right. So we find Nev and Brick doing their thing, and now we kind of flip over to Justin. Justin, what are you doing?
I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but Dr. Walter Gibbs had been asking my help on his boat, and I'm just curious if that boat was located, on his regular property or that property that's up on the cabin.
You would know that you were actually going to go spend some time up at his cabin at some point, but he hadn't actually scheduled that with you. So you were getting. It's not that you were getting a push off at all. It was just like it wasn't working out. His schedule was not sort of lining up. So.
Okay, and I also tried to do my own little telling the professor, "Hey, this is what I saw, ma'am," and see what I assume she got kind of the same sort of reaction that she gave everybody else.
Right, exactly. There wasn't really a you got the same type of push off. You really didn't get the same there was no intentional sort of you weren't getting some sort of intent kind of a thing, but there was definitely this situation of just she was just kind of pushing you off, or I don't have time right now, but it wasn't like anything that you were concerned about, should I say. And so as the three of you are just kind of, doing your own thing, the door sort of slowly swings open, and in, shuffling, comes in Jenkins, bringing a push broom, closing the door behind, the rest of the kids not really taking notice, and then just sort of push, push very slowly, just kind of like doing their job, but occasionally you see it looking around, taking in the situation. The glowing green sort of device still on the right arm, flashing gently. What do you guys do? Nobody's taking any action here.
I'm looking out of the corner of my eye, as I try to like work on my things. Put my orange spray can paint over to the edge there a little bit because that's going to be my running gag. Is that spray can?
Oh, okay. I see how this is. Okay. All right. All right. So
I'm going to own this bit. What can I say?
totally. All right. Jenkins continues, and as they're looking around, immediately at a certain point, you get the sense of like there's these eyes sort of staring at you, and you can see that for each of you, Jenkins takes you in for just a second, longer than you would expect, continuing to push the broom, and then, kind of just going, kind of taking in the situation, looking at the scene, and going back to it.
Um, you know, I write a little note on a piece of scratch paper that says, "Do we need to talk later?" And then I kind of fold it over and then accidentally drop it on the floor, like, a little bit away from my workstation in the path of the broom.
And you're intending this for Jenkins, right? Interesting. Okay. Um I feel like I need a roll here, but I'm not really sure what makes sense. Because there's not like something that there's not like a central sort of trouble or conflict going on here. There's something more subtle going on here. So talk to me a little bit more about how you sort of you do this. Like is it are you nonchalant, or is it like you're aggressive, like you're just very open about what you're doing here?
I'm more like acting like it's more nonchalant, I'm not like making big hand gestures. I'm kind of doing it like in front of my body sort of thing, and then I don't know how our workstations look like, but if there's, a wall of things that hides my hands, and that's what kind of I take advantage of. Like I said, I fold it up, and then, as I work on something else, just kind of push it off to the edge. I could try a sneak roll. That's one of my crappiest rolls, but I'm game for it.
Sure, let's go ahead and do that. All right. So the as you kind of like pass it off, it kind of sort of it sort of flips and sort of like flutters down into the pathway. And as you see him, or you see the robot just slowly pushing the broom aside, just continuing moving forward in a slow sort of very repetitive, gradual sort of motion, moving across the room. Right at that moment, as you're slipping it off the desk, Jenkins is actually looking over at Brick and taking in Brick's sort of situation as this is going on. So you were able to kind of sneak that into that situation, and the broom continues to kind of shuffle, but the note is sort of passed there along with as we continue on with this scene. Anybody else going to do anything here? Any other interaction you guys want to have here, or are we gonna move on from this scene?
Nev, I think, well, as she's writing, she'll look up and kind of start as she sees Jenkins, because she was kind of engrossed in what she was doing, and be like, "Oh, hey, Jenkins," just greeting him as one does. when you
Jenkins,
have a robot custodian.
right, exactly. So Jenkins kind of looks over, and the motion is very slow and sort of deliberate. Hello there. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am always good. Excuse me, I must continue my work. And you get a real sense that the robot doesn't want to continue the conversation.
Okay. Have a good day then, I guess.
Thank you. You too. And continues to kind of push on. But every so subtly, as the interaction is happening, that Brick and Justin, you notice that once Jenkins has sort of stopped engaging with Nev, um, every time she's not looking at the robot is looking back at her. What are you guys thinking here?
Wake up, Brick.
I don't know what I think about that. It's confusing. There's something different, and I can't quite place what.
Do you want to do a perception roll of some kind?
Well, I could. I've kind of I feel refreshed because I took that rest. I feel a little more clear about things. Um, I definitely could do that. This may be the time for that. Um, if I do um something about let's see, wait. If I do comprehend or investigate,
I think investigate works.
yeah, investigate would be stronger. So, um,
Oh, there it is. Okay.
I
All right.
did.
Sorry.
You're muted.
It seems to take its sweet time.
All right. Sorry about that. No, it's I'm using something to try to control my muting better. So as you roll the investigation, what are the things that you begin to sort of take in as you watch Jenkins sort of paying attention to Nev? You see that there are subtle differences to the body. The last time you saw, like where on the arm where the device is, you see what appears to be etched lines beginning to form around sort of the where it sort of is placed on the body itself. Those sort of really catch you off guard because they look as if they're deeply grooved into the body itself. Like the etching almost looks like it's damaging a little bit.
So does it look like there's been some kind of like violence or attack?
No, it's more like somebody has taken a tool and begun to etch or make a modification to the body itself.
It's very interesting. I don't know what to make of that, but I'm making a note of it.
Does it look more like a circuit board or like art or?
To me, what do I see? Um, More like a circuit board, but without as much without as much detail as a circuit board. Lots of parallel lines, not as many little squares and things.
Hmm.
All right. So as the four of you, or sorry, as the three of you are sort of like having this sort of situation happen, um, in steps, the door swings open, and in steps the two plainclothes sort of security guys that you ran into last week. As they step in, they kind of assess and look around the room, eyes landing on Nev for just a second, and then avoiding your eye contact before as you kind of look up at what's going on with them, and they make a move forward, heading towards Jenkins.
Did Grandpa say anything about these two?
In your brief communication with your grandfather, no, he did not say anything when you had mentioned both of them.
I think as they walk past, I'll be like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Ooh,
Oh,
my arm disappeared.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, young lady. Yeah. Say hello to your grandfather for us. We need to talk to Jenkins, actually, if you'll excuse us.
Talk to Jenkins? What do you mean talk to Jenkins?
Oh, we just need to take him to the maintenance facility. Just because we've got to do a checkup. So it's
Oh, so that would be a diagnostic. That wouldn't be a talking, because that would mean he'd be an AI or something.
uh, you know, this is the nomenclature is hard for us sometimes. We're not science guys. I'm just telling you what we were told, what our orders were coming from our supervisor. So I just wanted, yeah, please, go back to whatever sciencey thing that you're doing over there, kid, and we're gonna go and grab Jenkins and escort him to the maintenance facility.
So out of the corner of my eye, as we're having this loud conversation, what is Jenkins doing? Is he like still just shoving his broom, or is the broom going somewhere?
He's
Like
actually
about
he's
ready to
still
fall?
he's still maintaining the motion, right? The motion of pushing the broom forward, along the ground. What you do notice though is that he is taking in the situation, and you would say that there is a slightly human mannerism sort of appearing in the way that his body is moving. You don't get anything from the face because the sort of the facial features of the robot itself are not any different other than the eyes, like we talked about before. But you get that there's a slight sort of like hesitation going on, or a slight sort of like concern, like represented in the body language of what's going on with Jenkins right now. Do you want to take any particular action based on that, or are we shifting on through the scene?
Um, Give me a second to think.
You got it, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I keep doing a stalling action as I chat with them.
Give me some sort of a roll here, maybe a charm or something else. It feels
Sure.
like if you're trying to distract them at this particular point, charm might be the right thing to do, or even maybe even empathize, depending upon what you're feeling like.
I'm gonna try to empathize.
Okay.
There we go. So we get. Oh, sorry, wrong roll.
Wrong. Well, that is the right roll, but it is not a success. Before we describe what happens, or before I describe what happens here, do you want to
I
potentially?
have a pride. My pride is I help other people. So while I have conflicted feelings about Jenkins, I don't like the idea of him being taken by these doofuses to maintenance. So that I'm cashing in on my pride. How does that work?
Okay, so well, for once a session, you are able to acknowledge your pride, and you use it as a reroll. It's much like luck, except that it's not a like a pool of options. It's a one time thing, a once per session thing. It will refresh at the end of the session. So go ahead
Right.
and re-roll, and after you re-roll, if you succeed, I'm gonna need you to give me some element of emphasis on how you're empathizing in that situation.
I think I clicked it.
And you succeed. Awesome.
So, these guys are they're blue collar guys. I come from a blue collar background, so I'm trying to emphasize that, you know, they know what they have to do, and all these scientists kind of like, trying to talk over their heads. So I'm like, oh, I'm sorry about that. I mean, I'm catching bad habits here with all these other kids. Pedantic does what pedantic does, and they like to, do all that wordplay way too much. I'm so sorry about that. Trying to actually put my bulky frame between me and the robot for, just a second or no, just a little bit. So that's what I do.
Yeah, you're right, kid. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to push you off. It's the situation being what it is. We're we're dealing with a lot of weird reports. We saw you last week when we were looking for the weird stranger. We think that the robot might have some video. We're going to pull some video from him. We're going to take him down to the maintenance facility. So just whatever you can do to help us. Just kind of give us some space. Maybe. And as they're like, as he's like talking to you, you hear a click, and everybody kind of looks around. The three of you kind of look around as the conversation's going on, and you realize that Jenkins has been able to exit the scene. And they kind of look around and go, "Where did the robot go?" Oh, and you hear him curse under his breath. But because this is a kid show, we're not going to curse here. We're PG. We're not even PG-13. We're PG here, guys. All right. So, anyways, by the way, the definition of PG is you get to curse once in the movie. Period. That's it. I'm just saying that now. You hear him curse under his breath, and he's like, "Oh, all right. Well, listen. Your name's Justin, right? You take care, Justin. Don't let these kids get you into trouble here." And they start to make a line for the door with which they thought Jenkins had left.
Funny enough, while we were talking, I'm going to save up for next time, but I thought I have a better one for empathize next time.
Oh.
Basically, weren't you the high school quarterback in the '82 or something? That would have been perfect.
That actually would work. That would work very well.
Putting that one in my back pocket.
All right. So now that those two have exited the scene, what would you guys like to do?
I still have the tracker app on my phone.
You do. Everybody still has the tracker app on their phone, and Cosmos, after last week's sort of like situation, Cosmos was able to go through and lead you all through how to actually use the app in a way that would be easy for everybody to understand, including Brick.
Is his tracker showing up on the app?
It absolutely is. And what's interesting is it looks like it's heading down into the tunnels.
I guess we're going back to the tunnels. Man, that place gave me the jeebies.
I'm wondering if we should just look in the direction that Jenkins just went and make sure, because I'm wondering if what we're seeing in the app is really where he's going.
But he teleports too. Or sometimes he does. I don't think he teleports. I just think it's like future Jenkins just phases in and phases out.
We don't. I mean, it's confusing. I'm just wondering, because we kept chasing around this, where we thought he was, and then he wasn't where it said. And so, I mean, we just saw which way he went. Maybe we should try that.
Sure.
Which way did Jenkins go?
Went out the door.
So yeah, Jenkins did go out the door, and the direction with which the direction that he was they were headed was basically out onto into the science sort of building sort of proper. The report is coming from the tunnels that are right under the science building itself, though. So there's a little bit of correlation based on the direction he went or they went, and the direction that the application is actually indicating to you. And you can see that the blip is moving very slowly, like it's moving in a direction away from the science building, but it is moving very slowly.
We follow, I guess, right, guys?
I think we do. I think it's the best guess we have.
Do we want to go down into the tunnels, or do we want to kind of figure out where he's going to come out?
I don't know.
Because we can move faster than he is currently moving. So
Now.
Okay,
now
maybe
is now, then was then.
maybe that's a good idea.
Just for a second, you get or just Nev, as I think it was Nev that was looking at the application. Just for a second, as you're looking at the app, you see something really odd sort of come across the screen. It's an alert for a second blip. For just a second, located in the tunnels as well, and then it disappears. And then Jenkins' ping is still going on.
Let's go to the tunnels.
Okay, I'm with you.
I agree.
Let's go.
All right, so as the rest of the room is sort of just like settling in and just sort of, you know, doing they're continuing to do their scientific research and activity, sort of going along, as a part of the day, the three of you sort of step outside, and the hallway is mostly empty. You can see that the two plainclothes security guys are still sort of like they're looking around. They're checking in each room. They can't seem to find where Jenkins went. They're not sure what's, they're sort of like they're stepping into a room, they're kind of looking around, kind of peering, stepping back out, moving on to the next one and doing the same, rinse repeat as they keep going along.
They don't have the app that we do. I'm like talking very quietly to these two. They don't know he's got the tracker on him.
Right. And I wonder what it is they're trying to do. Like, I kind of want to help them, but I don't know if I trust them.
I mean, I'm almost kind of, I want to do something with Jenkins, but it's either we put him in those guys' hands or we do it ourselves, I, I'm worried that they'll just completely erase him.
Yeah, I don't know what to think.
Well, I guess we better get him first and then we can figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Right. Totally. One thing at a time, right?
I haven't had a chance to talk to Grandpa about him yet, so let's just go find him. I think that's probably for the best, because those guys are just creeps, man.
Okay, as the three of you step out into the hallway, you realize that the only way that you're going to be able to get into the tunnels below is at a doorway that's about halfway between you and the plainclothes security guys that are continuing to check the various rooms. They're moving methodically and going from door to door, and doing rinse repeat kind of thing, where it's just like going in and do that whole sort of like search and come back out thing. So you've got a small window of time, but you're not really sure that you're going to be able to do it. So this is what I'm going to need from you guys. I'm going to need a group sneak roll, and you need 2 successes to make this happen without getting noticed, without there being trouble. So go ahead and have each of you roll. All right, so it looks like Nev was able to actually automatically get you guys successes, but you're welcome to roll anyways. So Brick failed. And
Justin got one.
Justin got one, so 3. Okay, so Justin's 3 is going to Justin's third one is actually going to cancel out. I need to actually make this so I can actually see that better, guys. Give me just 1 second. So, anyways, Justin's third is actually going to sort of counter what slight bit of trouble was going to come from Brick's little failure there. But so the 3 of you dart and make your way towards. And as Brick kind of like is following up in the middle between what I'm assuming is Nev and Justin, they kind of slip a little bit, and Justin is able to kind of grab them and just keep them going along and move down and into the tunnels before the two plainclothes guys notice. Stepping into the tunnels, the lights all sort of come on, and it's sort of that dim yellowish glow coming from really bad old lighting. And there's the stairway down.
You're muted.
Can we see at the bottom of the stairs, or is it dark?
You can totally see it. You can definitely see down the bottom of the stairs.
This is stairway to. We don't know.
This is the same tunnels that the 4 of you went down last week.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I guess this time we go down with a little more confidence than we did last time. Maybe even being a little. Should we be faster, or should we just be sneaky, just in case somebody hears us on the other side of that closed door?
I mean, we probably wouldn't want to be like elephant stomp down the stairs, but we can. I'll probably try and show off and hold onto the rails and just slide down, kind of thing.
And isn't it weird how the smaller people are, the louder they are on the stairs?
It's definitely true of me, because even though I'm really tiny, I am an incredible klutz. I'm always banging things around. That big backpack that I have it's banging into walls and pipes and knocking people over. And so definitely need some help to be quiet.
Do you want me to take that for you, that backpack?
I mean, Nev took it last time. You take it. I mean, probably I need to rethink my whole system, but it's what I got. So yeah, sure. Thank you.
Oh no, I totally forgot to take my backpack. I don't have anything on me today. You did this so fast that I didn't grab anything. But do you have this thing on you all the time and it's always full?
Well, I mean, are you looking in there? Because, well,
sorry.
Well, I mean, okay, well.
Sorry. All I saw was books.
Well, there's books and anyway, we can talk about it later. So,
don't be rude, Justin. Don't go through people's shit. Come on.
Okay, all right. Look, Justin, I have something of yours from before we left. You dropped your books and things, and there was this cute rubber dog bone thing that you have, and it rolled under the couch where you're sitting. I didn't want you to lose it, but we just really haven't had time to catch up. And anyway, it is. But I mean, I was just kind of hoping.
Shenanigans has been going crazy.
I was kind of hoping to get to meet your dog, and I was gonna. Well, I'm
so you
sorry.
were holding that hostage?
No, I wasn't stealing it.
Shenanigans?
I wasn't stealing it. I was just I don't know, maybe I was shy to talk to older, you're a little older, and so yeah. Anyway, so Shenanigans sounds like fun.
So yeah, he is. He's the best German Shepherd.
Well, I would love to get to meet Shenanigans, but anyway, there's Bone back. I mean, go ahead, since you opened that pocket where it was.
No, I'm good. I'll get it. I'll get it later.
All right. We'll play.
It's a dog toy that only has been a dog toy. It's now been in your backpack.
Is it covered in slobber?
It's week-old slobber inside someone else's backpack. You know what? I'm sorry. My character would be like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." I'm sorry. I would be like, "Ugh," but he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, thank you." And he just kind of puts it in his back pocket. So now he has this big, tacky, rubber dog bone in his back pocket.
And it's purple too, so
Of course.
Yeah.
Because it's slightly translucent. Oh, we're getting way too much detail. into a stupid duckbill. But anyway, down the stairs we go.
It's rabbit holes like that are important to tabletop role-playing games.
True.
Neva's at the bottom of the stairs, just staring up at you guys, being like, "Come on!"
So as the three of you get to the bottom, Nev, you being the first down, you notice something a little bit different. The last time you were down here, the noises was very very much the norm that you were expecting. You brought the group back last time down to the tunnels. You were familiar with the tunnels in the past. You're familiar with the fact that they not only there's the sound of water flowing through the water and steam kind of flowing through the tubing or the pipes that are running along the walls, but there's also the occasional noises that we talked about of maintenance robots sort of moving through the underground for the school itself. Those noises are no longer there. It's a lot quieter down there. You hear more occasional things. You also hear the occasional sort of scrape or shuffle coming from the distance, but you actually can't hear the majority of what you would assume is the normal sounds.
Wait
Okay,
for it.
this is weird.
It's quiet. It's too quiet.
Too quiet.
I always wanted to say that.
Don't get horror movie on me. Come on, let's go. Maybe, I don't know. This is not usually this quiet down here.
How would you know? Are you down here all the time?
No, but the times I am, it's a lot louder than this.
Well, I mean, if there's nothing going on, there's nothing to be afraid of, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly.
To punctuate that last statement by Brick, there is this gut-wrenching sort of like metal scraping on metal sound for just a second off in the distance. And it is this loud sort of screeching sound, and then it stops.
That was just a stuck door, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know, kind of lengthy for a door sound, but maybe.
Yeah, sure, it was a door. Sure, door.
Kind of sounded like the trash bin, the big trash bin outside the school.
You mean the dumpster?
Yeah, like when they're gonna empty it and they pick it up and it makes a horrible noise and it comes crashing back down to the ground. You just hope there's not a cat under it or something, you know.
Well, you can find good old parts in that dumpster. They're always throwing away a chair or a desk or some old computer piece. I think everybody's oversharing at this point.
Should we go check it out, or
Did the sound come in the direction where...
Yes, absolutely. It came from the direction of where the pinging was of Jenkins. And as you're kind of looking at the phone again, you see that quick flash blip getting closer to the other Jenkins, but not quite there.
I mean, you guys don't have to come with me, but I want to go check this out. Like, if you guys want to go back, I want to go check this out.
I don't know. We should probably all stick together just in case.
I'm definitely sticking with the two of you. I'm not staying here.
I mean, like, go back to the explorer's room if you don't want to come.
No, I'll go with you.
Okay, let's go.
Here we go.
All right, as you turn corners and head in the general direction, the continued presence of lack of sound, that sort of ominous feeling that you all have, it's really affecting, but it's not to the point where it's overwhelming yet. It's a little too what's the word I'm looking for? it's a little too ever present of a like silence, and so it is really unsettling. As you're making your way towards, you occasionally do hear shuffles, but you don't hear the running tracks of the robots that were kind of moved through, and you don't hear the continued sounds of water sort of flowing through the pipes. It's eerie, and you're the scraping of your feet, or a misstep, or like a backpack sort of bumping against the wall for just a second sounds louder. It sounds larger because of the lack of sound. But as you kind of make your way around a couple of sort of turns, you find yourself walking on what is a long sort of access tunnel between various buildings across the campus. This is the one, Nev, that you've used previously to get from sort of the sports fields and the sports area of the high school, back to like the science building and the English building and the cafeteria and that kind of a thing, on days when you've needed to use that for that access. And so, as that's going on, or as you reach that particular point with a tunnel, you can see the figure of Jenkins shuffling slowly in the distance, moving down towards what would be the other side of the campus, towards what you guys knew last week as the administrative building.
So can we confirm that this is our now Jenkins versus some weird future Jenkins?
How would you want to go about confirming that?
He's not wearing like clothes or anything, is he?
No, you cannot see see whether he is actually wearing clothes, but it does appear that you can see through parts of his body as he's moving. So the sort of the articulated arms and parts, the exposed sort of like structure of the body itself, you can see those pieces.
And his casing, or whatever you want to call it, his exterior isn't smoothed out. It's still
right,
boxy and clunky.
Well, yeah, it's still blocked. I think I'm muted. Thank you. It's still boxy and clunky, and you can see sort of like the exposed, like with bones. What you see, is like there's like an area between certain bones that you've got two pieces that sort of connected end to end. That's the way that Jenkins sort of looks, with like articulation of the arm, right? So you can see articulations and things there, but you can still see through it. The Jenkins that you met that had more of like a full body sort of casing thing, it almost looked like the shape of the body, like a normal human's body, was actually covering, and you didn't see any of that sort of like internal structure, what would be essentially his bones. He looks more like a skeleton right now when you think about like him now versus what you saw when that was sitting on the stump.
So I call out, Jenkins.
The shuffling begins to move just a little bit more quickly, and you can see for just a second that the head is kind of turning, kind of looking back. They're trying to pick up speed, but like he's not successful.
Us. It's okay, you can slow down. It's us.
All right, continuing to move. Are you moving forward to go to chase him, or what's happening here?
I am.
Yeah, I would say I'm following too.
All right. As the three of you are beginning to kind of move forward, racing towards him, the lights begin to flicker again, and then they go black.
Oh man!
Flashlight out on my phone.
All right, you can see sort of forward, and you can barely see the outline of Jenkins because you guys are getting really close. Give me some sort of a roll here. Let's see. What do I want? Give me some sort of a perception or like a comprehend. Give me a comprehend roll. Actually, that may work.
Comprehend?
I think. Give me just 1 second. Let me double check the sheet.
Can I just run faster? I'm better at running faster.
You are more than welcome to. Give me just 1 second. No, that's not gonna actually work. Give me a mind. Roll. Just a basic mind roll.
Okay. Question. Is my condition that I had last week gone? Would that be gone now?
Yes, that would be gone. So you can clear that condition. So you're no longer angry.
Okay. So I would have done even better on the last roll. Okay, so
That's
mind,
correct.
you said?
Yeah, give me a mind. Basically, something for perception.
All three of us, or just
Just
Nev?
Nev, since she was
Okay.
using her flashlight. All right, you can't seem to see much about him about Jenkins other than they're continuing to shuffle forward. The three of you are continuing to run forward, and the lights kind of flick back on real quick and then flick off again. But that's when you hear something different. The shuffling has stopped. And the lights flick back on again, and for just a second, you can see the other Jenkins interacting with themselves. And then the lights flicker off. And when they come back, Jenkins is just standing there, halfway in motion, moving towards, the direction, but like not moving, but halfway in motion.
So now we have proof that it's not just like, at least we know that there's at least two things happening.
Does Jenkins now look different as we get closer than he did just moments before that everything went black? Is future Jenkins modifying old Jenkins?
Can you tell me how you would know that?
If it was something that was internal, of course not, But I mean, if he like put on a new arm plate, or if his eyes are glowing different. Obviously, I don't think he's wearing a trench coat all of a sudden. And I'm open to suggestions from my other two teammates.
All right, so you didn't hit him with any of that orange spray paint at any point, did you?
No, but I'm going to here soon, I'm sure.
I don't know if that makes sense anyway.
The pattern around the tracker device on his arm, has that grown? Has it shrunk? Is it the same approximately?
Looking at the arm, looking at the the area around the arm, it has grown slightly. But I'm going to need some sort of either a tinker roll or an investigate roll here to determine anything more than that.
I'm pulling off a tinker.
And you failed, sir. Would you like to use some luck?
Yeah, I'll use some luck. One more time. But I can't see.
All right. So describe to me how you actually start the process of like trying to examine him or examine them. Is it like a visual examination, or because they're frozen sort of in this position, are you like getting in and just like putting your hands on Jenkins at this point?
Yeah, I get up and I wave a hand in front of his face to get a reaction first, and then after that, I start kind of looking around, especially that stupid arm. It would be so tempting right now to actually try to pry, since he's not moving, to actually pry this thing off. And I'm looking at the other two as I'm like, do any of you have a screwdriver? Maybe we should get this thing off while he's not moving.
I might have one in my backpack. You're welcome to go through it.
Okay, so getting it off, looking for a screwdriver.
So is he still he's just standing there not moving?
He is standing there just not moving. His eyes are lit. You can see that they're expressive, but not they're frozen in like motion. Like they're like the robot is literally in motion, like halfway through a step, balanced just right so that you could topple it, but otherwise appears to just be frozen for the moment.
That would just be mean.
Yes, no toppling.
So I'll try to do a tinker roll to and neither of you two are stopping me. So I'm going to go for the thing to see if I can find a way to, disassemble it off. Not like try to pry it off, but disassemble it. I mean, how does it interact with the grooves that are like growing on his arm? Are they like, is there like a silver line of some sort inside the groove connecting back up to the device? Or what? And can we make a tinker roll for that?
Well, based on your previous tinker roll, that was all about you investigating and like looking for differences. Based on your previous tinker roll, you can't seem to get any of that information. Nothing stands out as obvious, especially in that particular case. That's when you get the idea, I imagine, to like start to try to pry that thing off, that device off. So you're welcome to roll another tinker roll specifically for that. But right now, you're not able to get any more information about this.
Okay, so I clicked the button. What I get?
Ooh, okay, so that's, yeah, you looks like you got 0 successes there as well. All right. You are more than welcome. I think you only have one more luck. You're more than welcome to spend that luck at this particular point, or you can save it.
I have a total of 3.
Oh, okay. That's right. You're 12, so you have 2 more luck, then, I believe, right? So go ahead if you want to try it again.
You know what? As a player, I'm going to let that fail stand.
I like it when people do that. Thank you so much. All right. So describe to me how you're approaching this particular sort of like trying to remove it from the back of from the arm itself of Jenkins.
So my failed attempt is, I'm taking the screwdriver and I'm just using it to kind of pry around the edges to see whether they're two separate or whether it's now merged. You said it's glowing. So, I'm seeing if I can just basically I'm just using the screwdriver like it's a crowbar instead of a tool to see if there's a way I can just pop it off, or, especially if I don't see any way that there's a seam or any sort of screws on it that I can just disassemble. If it's, somehow everything's on the underside where it's connected with the robot. And then after a little bit, I just give up.
Okay, so
I'm examining how the little grooves and it interact and all that jazz.
Well, so as you're trying to get your screwdriver sort of seated under, because you don't see any screws, you can see that it's almost like it's not welded, but it's held in place almost as if it was welded. There's something really strange about it. You can't tell if it's magnetic, or if there's some sort of sealant that was on the inside, or if there's some sort of bonding material or bonding event that has happened to sort of like join these two pieces of metal. All right, that's that there's nothing obvious there. So as you're kind of like pulling in it, trying to find a way to kind of pry this thing off, the arm starts to move.
Oh, and then I just what?
And for just a second,
I start to play dumb.
Right. And so for just a second, as the arm is moving, you kind of step back and do your thing. Jenkins moves, but moves slightly faster, and like moves on his feet, or moves on their feet, and pivots a little bit faster than you expect. Still incredibly slow, but with better articulated motion than you expect from before. And it just kind of it rears around a little bit and then looks at you and says, "Excuse me, Justin, I am not done rebooting. Please stop." And it shuts down again. And this time the eyes go black for just a second, dark for just a second, and then they power back up. And Jenkins sort of looks at you, and for just the slightest sort of difference, you notice that the motion of the head moves ever so slightly smoother. "Excuse me, Justin. Please don't mess with Dr. Langford's device." Muted. You're muted.
Well, everybody wants that device, so I thought if we took it off, they'd leave you alone.
I'm sorry. Why does everyone want this device?
Because everybody sees you're popping back and forth all over the place. Right? And I look at the other two to get a yes or a no, or back me up or throw me
Yeah.
under the bus, something.
Right, exactly. It's exactly what's happening, and so it's everybody wants it, and so yeah.
Wow, sorry about the typing in the background there, guys.
Jenkins
Jenkins looks over to Brick and says, "This is mine. Dr. Langford gave it to me. Why would anyone try to take something from me without asking?" And the head slowly swivels back to Justin's, looking at Justin.
Well, he's not necessarily stealing it from you. I mean, maybe he's sharing it.
We were gonna try and get it back to Dr. Langford, Dr. Catherine.
Dr. Catherine, right. And you hear that, and you see that the eyes sort of just like twitch for a little bit. Dr. Catherine gave it to me. She did not say she would be taking it back. Are you sure you are up to... No. Wrong. And you see the eyes twitch. And the head turns back to you, Nev. Are you sure you are not up to something?
We're not trying to fool you, Jenkins. Do you remember last week? Do you remember when Dr. Catherine gave you the tracker?
By my calculations, that was over 2 months ago.
For us, it was only 7 days.
That is an inconsistency I don't understand.
Yep, neither do we.
Can you explain? And the head sort of slightly like turns to the right.
Well, that's why we're trying to get that thing off your arm to see if we can find if that is part of the explanation.
Because it started for you 2 months ago, for us a week ago, when Dr. Catherine put that on your arm.
So, Jinx, if you look at the time on my phone, and what time did you think it was? 'Cause you have a clock, right?
I do.
Or you have like a calendar in there too, right? I mean, time and date.
Dr. Walter Gibbs gave me all kinds of things to track time to make sure that I knew when to show up and do things to do my job. These inconsistencies are impossible. I need you to explain them to me. And his head, or their head, turns with the eyes focusing on each of you. Please.
We can't explain it
Tell him
now.
about future him.
We can't explain the why or the how now. We don't know what's going on. We're trying to figure that out. Last week, for us, when we were chasing you, trying to find you, we came across a you from far in the future.
That does not sound logical. Time travel is a concept that is beyond the capabilities. Dr. Gibbs explained this to me when he made me.
That's an odd thing to bring up on your birthday.
It's
Hi, you're born today and you don't do time travel. What else did he say you could do or not do?
He looks like he's going to answer you, and at his the way that his sort of speech and mouth, like he's got a rudimentary sort of mouth mechanic that speaks, like moves, to give them a sort of a vaguely human sort of mannerism for it. But the speaker that is behind that's where the voice actually comes from, the sort of the speaker box that comes like inside of the mechanism of the mouth, starts to speak, like starts to just like it starts to move, and there's sound that comes out of the speaker itself, but then it stops, and it's a crackle and a hiss, and for just a second it sounds like the thrum of the loop comes from there, and the mouth closes, and the head sort of dips down, and the head just kind of comes back up. I'm sorry, what was your question?
My question was there someone in the hall with you just a couple of minutes ago? Another robot with a trench coat? If future Jenkins had a trench coat when he was popping in.
He did occasionally, like at different times you saw different things from that when it was flickering in and out.
But I meant the time we just saw in the hallway.
Yes, actually they did, right?
Okay.
And the movement of that particular version of Jenkins was very fluid and fast. What if you were to make an assumption or a guess, it was somewhere very far, like age wise, from the time that you saw Jenkins when they were sitting on the stump. And so, as you ask Jenkins that question, they turn and look at you and they say, "I'm sorry, can you clarify the question?"
No, I'm sorry, never mind. I was thinking of something else.
How long have you
About the
been?
future, Jenkins.
How long have you been in the tunnel? Just now.
One day, 4 hours, and 37 minutes, and 12 seconds. And the voice comes out clear. Absolutely clear. Otherworldly. Now, did I answer your question?
Remember how you said you would tell us? I asked you to always tell us the truth.
That was when you were presented with the question, "How may I be of service?" Yes?
Correct.
Yes. What can I tell you about that time event in my records?
Can we get Dr. Catherine's tracker?
That gives Jenkins pause for a second, as you can see that the eyes are sort of flickering as it's processing the information. finally, Jenkins kind of focuses in on you specifically. I don't know if I can release it myself. You would need to help me do that.
How can we help you do it?
The maintenance facilities here on the school's campus are not appropriate for the type of physical work required for my frame. I don't have any more information for you on this subject.
What tools do we need?
You would need a facility that could monitor my internal systems along with, and you can see that he's processing a way to work on my mechanical systems too. I am only aware of 2 facilities where this is possible. And you see his head just sort of beginning to, as he's kind of processing, the eyes are flickering, his head is beginning to move. The mannerism is almost human for just a second. There is a robotics workshop on the university's campus, and there is the home workshop where I was created by Dr. Gibbs.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I vote for Mr. Gibbs' place.
I'm fine with going there. I think it's, yeah, I think there's more than one reason to go there.
Now we just have to smuggle Jenkins out.
What does smuggle mean? And he looks over at you, Justin.
Get you off campus so nobody knows you're gone, or if they think you're lost, they don't know where to look.
Is not the tracking system, and you see his articulated head sort of look down at its arm, or their articulated head look down at its arm. Is this tracking system by Dr. Catherine, and looking up at the 3 of you, just kind of like for confirmation almost. For Dr. Catherine, will they not be able to track me?
How often have you seen the doctor since you've had that on you?
It has been since the time she attached it to me. That event is over 2 months ago.
I show him the cell phone again and go, you got to recalibrate that internal clock.
I see that there is an inconsistency. I cannot make those changes myself.
You seem to be getting kind of smarter. Could you figure out a way to make an adjustment on your own? Not change it, but add a little something to the top to make the adjustment afterwards.
I don't understand what you mean. Can you clarify?
Oh my God, I'm hoping the thing could come AI. Of course, it already is. Well, you can't tell your original clock it's wrong, but if you know to look around and recalibrate, maybe you can see that there's always a consistent change. So you look and go, oh, well, now I need to minus 28 days from what I see because that there says I'm always 27 days too long. I'm not one for speaking. I don't teach class.
Give me an empathize roll for the robot.
For the robot through me? Okay.
Yeah, from you. What you're trying to do is you're trying to convince this thing, but I think you're trying.
Yeah, and emphasize is not my best role. It's just not. Yeah. At this time I am gonna blow a luck roll.
All right, go for it.
I'm down to one luck. What do I got?
And you got one success. Now, Jenkins looks at you and says, the words that you are expressing seem to indicate a technique that would work. I am not programmed myself to update in that way.
We tried.
Can you alter my programming?
I'm looking at my other two teammates here.
Well, I think there was that instruction manual that I saw at the beginning. I don't know if should we give it to Jenkins?
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I mean,
Well-
aren't you two the app developers?
Not me. I mean, I couldn't, and I couldn't really read through the whole thing that fast. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's something we have to solve immediately anyway, but it's something we should definitely put a pin on it.
Right. Cosmos was working on it, I think.
Now, the thing right now is we need to figure out how to jam the tracking device so we could smuggle the robot off campus.
Not really, because I think we're the only ones using it. Because those two goons who were looking for him were looking for him. They weren't following an app or anything.
True. If some people know they're missing, they may remember that app after the fact. But I guess if we get to your grandpa's place, maybe that won't matter so much. Or it's going to be for me. I think it's going to be harder figuring out how to sneak him out than figure out how to jam.
Jenkins turns and looks at Nev and says, "What are goons, and why are they looking for me?"
They're, the definition of creepy?
No.
These two men are security from the loop. They're looking for you. They need to take you in for diagnostics, is what they said.
Diagnostics? Dix, is that not what you want to do with me? Figure out why I have inconsistencies?
Well, we didn't. I mean, we don't really know if that's what they're really wanting to do. But we kind of don't believe them entirely.
Adults tend to lie, especially to kids.
Am I a kid?
You're you you're like a kid that because you don't lie.
I am capable of telling things that are not factual. Dr. Gibbs gave me that ability to be able to help the younger ones if there was a problem.
What does that have
Well,
to do with lying?
so you lied to us?
Based
Oh,
based on my internal event log, my understanding is no.
In some cases, adults lying to children is a comfort, depending on the lie.
You asked me to tell you the truth. Will you always tell me the truth?
As best I can. I will.
Jenkins
little dancing there, a little dancing.
Jenkins sort of takes that and just sort of like looks off in the distance and just sort of processes that as you can see the eyes sort of like flickering a little bit.
I will tell you what truths I know.
Looks back at you. I understand. And the speech gets a little bit smoother for just a second. I have one question then. And they raise their arm and points down the tunnel past the three of you. Who is that figure?
Turning and looking.
You see a flicker, the figure standing there, and it sort of flickers out of existence. Lights never flicker for you guys though. It's all visible to you. And it was clearly wearing a trench coat.
That might have been a future you.
That was Keanu Reeves. Yep, cat out of the bag. That's complicated. Really complicated.
I do not understand how to measure complications. Can you clarify?
We're not entirely sure. But we think it's you from the future.
And it may be changing you to its future self, which is why you keep having these gaps, because every time it changes you, it seems to add time into your system. Because you weren't down here for a day and 4 hours. You were upstairs, however long that was. I mean, it's hard to tell game time versus real time. Was that 10 minutes ago? Couldn't have been more than 20.
Couldn't have been more than 20
Right.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah. So 20 minutes ago, you were upstairs sweeping the floor.
As I told you, that was more than a day ago. the last time I was up. I understand the inconsistency.
It was 20 minutes ago, not a day and 4 hours.
All right, I have an idea. Why don't we take a video right now while we talk about this, and then we'll check it again in a couple minutes, and we'll see how much time we all think it was.
Oh, if he doesn't flicker or get rebooted while we're talking, it's going to be consistent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
He popped, the future guy popped, and then he didn't do anything. He left because I think it's because we're hanging around Jenkins, which makes no sense because future him was all about talking to us. Now he's kind of, maybe this is like middle future. I need a chalkboard.
Like
in
middle futures, or like
chalk.
Middle Earth.
What? I fell asleep during that show. I don't know what you're talking about. So, okay.
You got your far future, your middle future, and your future.
That's right. So, but yeah, I was actually starting to think maybe at some point one of us needs to just like sneak in here at night and watch him at night to see, like, because we only see him when we see him. He could be for 8 hours a night. Future self could be, hammering things in and downloading things and uploading things. So, I mean, I got to run. But unless future self pops in and starts playing around with him, it's just going to be consistent. At least Jenkins, by watching this, and you'll know that we're trying to be, we're trying to tell you the truth.
I understand that you are trying to tell me the truth. I am incapable of expressing emotion, but I believe Dr. Gibbs would have said that I should show appreciation. So my best possible effort to do so, and his head sort of, turns off to the right just a little bit, is to say thank you.
So, okay. I guess we can start getting around plan A, trying to put something together to hide that. I mean, to interfere with that. And then plan B, try to figure out how to get him to Mr. Gibbs' place. Is he talking about? I'd look at Nev. Is he talking about his house here or the one that's up on the hills? And then out of curiosity, would it be common knowledge for our characters to know if the quarantine boundary zone includes that lakeside house or not?
You would definitely know that the quarantine bounds are much larger than the area that you were familiar with in Santa Carla. On top of that, you would know that Dr. Gibbs' cabin, or at least Nev would know this, that Dr. Gibbs' cabin, while up in the hills, is really only, 10 miles away, seated on a lake, that's in the local, mountain range, right on the coast. So it's not very far and well within the bounds
So
of
we're
the
not
quarantine
pushing
zone.
Wayward Pines here then, okay.
Right, exactly. All right.
Do we want to like come back at night or something and sneak in and take him? Or I mean, or am I thinking too movie-ish? Muted. Nev.
I don't know. I don't know because I don't really know how much anybody's really paying attention. If we just don't be sneaky, it might. I don't know. Nev.
Muted.
Damn it.
You've been muted for about the past. You might want to rewind to 4 or 5 lines there because
God damn it!
The first time I said muted, I was talking about you, actually.
What did I say now?
I can't tell because you were muted.
It was, I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a car. So it's not like we can sneak him out here.
Do you think I do? My character's 12.
Yeah. Obviously you don't.
I mean, the football coach still wants me to, tells me I should get on the team, and yeah, he thinks I should have a driver's license, but I mean,
less sneaky might be the way to go. I don't know. I'm not good at sneaky, really.
I'm definitely not good at sneaky.
oh, stealth sucks for me. So yeah, my sneak score is 0.
Oh,
I mean, we
I
should do
sneaked one.
something totally obvious.
Yeah, at this point, I'm thinking that one of us needs to basically con our parents into saying that we're taking Jenkins home as literal homework for the Explorers Club. And then once we get him off grounds into the parents' home, find a way to get him to Mr. Gibbs' classic, does he have wheels and can we pull him with like 3 bicycles and be kids on bikes?
Or am I muted again? No, I'm not muted. I'm
practicing it.
like ET, but kind of not. Or I talked to Grandpa. See if we can somehow get him to let us bring Jenkins home for an evening.
So that's plan A.
Or weekend or something.
Yeah, so that's plan A. Plan B is someone else's parents. And then, even if he does say yes, is he going to come pick us up and like take Jenkins with us? That would be awesome. But
I'm actually going to pull up my phone and shoot a text to Grandpa.
You get an immediate response. What is Grandpa Gibbs call you? Like, what's the affectionate name that Grandpa Gibbs has for Nev?
Shenanigans.
Probably like Nevi or something.
Okay, so you get a text back and it's basically says, "What's up, Nevi?" ?
He calls you Nebby with an IE.
Yes.
Is he 12-year-olds? No boundaries.
My Grandpa, like, kind of like elbow him in the shoulder. Stop it. Have questions about like she's like doing in shorthand because 15-year-old. Have questions about Jenkins. Need to use your lab with him and your brain, please. Smiley emoji, heart emoji.
2
Thumbs
hearts.
up.
2 heart emojis.
You get a response back that's a little confused. Don't understand. Period. Is he broken, or is Jenkins broken? Question mark. Question mark. Question mark. Exclamation point. Question mark.
Sort of.
Oh,
Question, like a stream of question marks. And then time travel, maybe?
Ask him why he had to tell Jenkins he couldn't time travel, but now he's broken. He does.
Yeah.
Happy birthday! You can sweep floors, but you can't time travel.
Sorry. So your next text to Grandpa Gibbs is to basically say, broken / time travel? Is that what your response is?
Yeah, he might be broken, but might also be time travel. I don't know. Is yeah.
We are in the loop. You can't play dumb.
So Grandpa gives responses. Have you been watching TV again? Have you been getting into my old, VHS tapes? This is not a Quantum Leap episode.
I'll go into the video from that I had recorded from last week and clip, like, just take a chunk of it instead of trying to send the entire video, because that would be a lot and take a while. Like, clip the period between two kind of, or just like he's there, he's gone, he's back and looks really different kind of thing.
The longest delay between that text and his response gives you a little bit of apprehension. But finally, the response is very simple. Is anybody looking for him? ? Or looking for Jenkins ?
What did your grandpa say? What did he say?
He said that he's asking if anybody's looking for him. And I text back the picture I took last week of the two security guys. Same guys last week we saw.
Another long delay and pause between messages. Do you have Jenkins now ? Is the next text.
What did he say? What did he say?
He's asking if we have Jenkins. No.
Sort of.
Yes.
I start to move kind of like on the other side of Jenkins, so he's going to have to bump into somebody if he decides to bolt, because that's about as close as we're going to get to having him.
Maybe tell Grandpa that we have Jenkins. With his help, we could have Jenkins for sure.
We're with Jenkins right now.
The next text comes in very quickly, and it says the following. Cannot come onto school grounds. You're going to have to meet me in the parking lot outside the administrative building. I will bring my truck. Get him there in 1 hour.
That ain't nothing. How hard could that be?
Thumbs up emojis. Exclamation points. 100%.
Hearts.
Yeah, hearts. Thank you, kind of thing.
No spaces between the words. Just
yeah. The Kermit flail gif. See you in an hour.
And the last response you get from your grandfather before this exchange stops, you see the following text. Be careful, Nev. This is important.
Okay, so we have to keep an eye on this guy for an hour. Jenkins, can you stay with us until we have to meet my grandfather in an hour?
Jenkins looks over to you and says, is Dr. Gibbs going to help us? ?
Yes.
Yep.
Question mark? Does he actually say question mark?
Question mark.
He does. When do we need to leave?
He seems to be getting a little slower, dumber as we're talking? Or
No, he does not appear to be dumber. His speech or their speech patterns are changing. Right, you're getting all kinds of inconsistencies. Right, what you're noticing is like it's almost as if each sentence is slightly structured and worded differently, as if the robot understands the language and is playing with it to test it out to find out what its voice sounds like.
oh, he wants to be a writer. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm bad. I broke the game. I'm sorry.
Oh no, there was a moment in Johnny's game last night that had everybody off their chairs. It was so funny.
Okay.
You muted.
Okay, so now you know where to meet Grandpa. Jenkins appears to be sort of acquiescing into this situation. What do you guys do?
Well, I look at the other two and go, well, now we got to figure out how to make sure he doesn't run away in the next hour. Maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud.
Maybe we can ask him to promise that he won't.
Go ahead.
So, Jinx, pinky promise. You stick with us for at least an hour?
Until we meet up in the administration parking lot to get into my grandpa's truck.
Jenkins looks down at Bricks, looks up to Nev, and then looks down at Bricks and says, cocking their heads just slightly to the right, "What is a pinky promise? Question mark."
You can explain that.
Well, you give me your articulated hand and I'll show you.
Jenkins raises their arm, and you can see that the hand, it's very rudimentary. The fingers do have articulation so that they can spread out like this, and they've got that sort of basic articulation of like gripping things. You have seen Jenkins grip things before, like he was gripping the push broom before. So Jenkins raises its arm and reaches out towards you, Brick.
So I'm gonna give you my smallest finger. I'm gonna take your smallest finger-like thing, and we're gonna hook them together. And we're gonna say pinky promise. It's just a fun way of promising to do something. But now we've done it because you let me do it.
As you latch your pinky onto Jenkins, and you make the motion, there looks to be sort of this sort of wider, like the look of the irises in Jenkins' eyes grows wider for a second and almost brilliantly bright as the light sort of comes out just a little bit. There's this glow about it as Jenkins stares in what you can only perceive as wonder as the motion happens. And Jenkins, after you let go, pulls their arm back, looks down at you, Brick, and says, "I promise. Thank you."
Well, thank you, Jenkins.
I prefer it when you call me Jinx.
Okay, Jinxie. Thank you for doing the pinky promise for us.
And so tell me what you guys are going to do next now. Jenkins has agreed to follow you guys.
I start calling him Jinx for one.
Right.
I mean,
So
we can head towards the administration building.
eventually, yeah. Won't take us an hour to get there, though.
It
Oh.
might, because the way that Jenkins moves. Remember that Jenkins moves much slower than you do.
I guess we can head that way. We could also, Nev, could you text your grandpa about whether or not we need to block his tracing signal or not care?
Yeah, I'll
Because that's
do
a
that.
logistics thing.
Yeah.
Could we get, is Cosmos available? Like send some kind of weird like encryption thing to make it so it can't be tracked?
You're welcome to text him.
I'm
Well-
definitely texting Cosmos then.
Is the thing broadcast on AM?
It does. I mean, I'm assuming that I have the goods with a decent
So-
roll to like try and pull off a decent attempt at that.
Yeah, would Justin know how to potentially like block AM signals? Like, is it a matter of wrapping the thing in tinfoil, or
You
I
could
don't
make you could make that attempt. I will remind you that it broadcast on 3 different sets of frequencies. One was more localized at a higher band, then there was a mid-range band which had a longer range, and then the AM band was actually from what Cosmos and Justin were able to kind of like figure out based on what their rolls from last week. That was the widest band. It covered the entire area of the loop.
right?
Well, for me, I think it's actually more tricky because that stuff doesn't come out of nowhere. I probably have to go back to my workbench to grab crap to do a thing. Not unless Jinx wants me to open him up or open his thing that I haven't even been able to get off of. I'm going to have to come up with a thing to like hang around his neck or something to just do the jump.
I'll text Grandpa, and everything I know about the app and the tracking device kind of gets in like no punctuation. One
mean,
big
if you guys
long wall of text.
If you guys want to split the party,
I mean, we could.
It's not going to be evenly divided at this point. There's only 3 of us for,
All right. So you send the text to your grandfather as you slowly progress your way towards the administrative building. We're going to cut to you, the 3 of you plus Jenkins, finally arriving there, kind of making your way up into the administrative building. And as you look out, you realize, as you're kind of looking into the hallways, you realize that there are another pair of goons, very separate, doing a methodical search of the building. They don't see you as you're kind of like, sort of opening the door slightly and kind of looking out, but you can see that they're heading in your general direction.
Damn it.
What do you want to do?
well, they're still going in a room. They're in a room for a little bit.
Right, they're following that sort of methodical sort of like they're going into a room, kind of evaluating, coming out. There's like 30 seconds between, and they're just kind of progressing their way along, sort of down towards you. The administrative building is a lot larger, and there's a lot more sort of like rooms and like offices and areas where they're sort of having to look into.
So, time-wise, where are we at with meeting Grandpa?
You've got about 5 minutes before you need to be out into the hall, or sorry, out into the parking lot.
And Jenkins can move fast enough to get there in 5 minutes.
The doorway is relatively close. It's probably a good 30 feet from the doorway where you are. It's a 30-foot jaunt out to the sort of the front of the administrative building, and then there's a stairway and there's the parking lot. From in front of the administrative building. So.
And it's not like he's gonna leave without us.
Right.
So what are the letter or the do they have listed what their school subjects are?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do the doors have listed the subjects that are taught in that class, or is it more of a rotating?
Well,
It
it's
could be anything.
the administrative building, right? So you've got the principal's office, you've got the vice principal's office, you've got you've got your counseling, you've got your your school security, you've got custodial services. There's a maintenance facility in the administrative building, which is one of the maintenance facilities where you would find Jenkins. If you were going to work on Jenkins or any other custodial or operating robots in the area, that kind of a thing.
So what I'm trying to fish for is an excuse to go use the quarterback stick. Try to meet them in a room. A valid excuse to go to the office. Do the quarterback stick for 5 minutes.
So I will say
our
that
teammates
there
and she can
right, so this is an administrative building, right? There are plenty of reasons for you to as a student be here, right? It's after hours, but there's still lots of things going on at the school. There's still school business activity going on. So you are more than welcome to to narrate me something. Give me something that you want to work with. If you're going to go, like, you're going to encounter your coach in the middle, or you're going in to do your transcripts or whatever. This is you. Tell me what you think you're going to do in the situation here, and we're going to evaluate. We'll figure out where the conflict comes in.
Sure. I'm just drawing a blank of what mix up or what matchup I could have with administrative office. So
Maybe a dean of students.
Ned.
Maybe somebody who is sort of the intermediary between the student body president and and the maybe the school government, that kind of a thing. I mean, the sky's the limit here. If you want me to provide you with something, I can.
I was asking my teammates actually to see if
Okay.
they had an idea or two. Not that I put them on the spot. But.
I mean, they were kind of wary of me. They kind of avoided me. The other dudes, anyway.
The other security goons did avoid you for sure.
So you could do the same thing. You could go if they go to like a sports department administrative office. You could follow them. They go, "Hey, hi, what's up here?" And then like you're at the door and you do the same thing. Just you have different excuse for stalling them as Brick and I. Come on, Jenkins. Come on. Let's go.
I can see what I can try something.
Okay. Do you want? Are you going to try to emphasize or?
Well,
you muted. Nev, you got muted.
There we go. No more press to mute or press to talk thing. What can I do? I mean,
I'm happy to pass this ball if somebody else wants to do it.
Well, I know there's like a dance routine that if you're going into the administrative area for the sports, there's the cheerleading squad, the gymnastics people. Like, I was working on an idea about how Jenkins could be used for that to like be kind of like a mascot and be dancing.
would there be a school nurse in this building?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll look at these two and be like, wait till I got the guys in one of the rooms and just go for the parking lot and for Grandpa, and I will try and get in the car. If I don't, I'll see you at home.
Well, what are you going to do?
I jumped off a roof and broke my leg so I wouldn't have to go to a soccer camp.
What?
my ankle really, really bothers me. The school nurses know.
Oh,
I can
okay.
see if I can. Every once in a while, I need to stay off of it, and I need a pair of crutches. So just wait till I have them cornered in a room, and hopefully they'll help me.
But Nev, are you really okay? Because you were helping me, and I feel bad now.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
My legs. This was a while ago.
Okay, I get it. I get it now.
She's faking it.
Okay, I get it.
Okay.
I can go along with that.
Okay. So you guys get Jenkins out into my grandpa's car. You don't have to wait for me. I can meet you guys at home. Because I don't know how this is going to go. So
That's our plan.
I'll wait till I'll kind of peek out the door, wait till the goons are in a room or in an office or wherever. And then I'll go out and I'll start kind of hopping down the hallway on one foot towards where they are and kind of stumble in and be all like breathing kind of shocky.
They both turn when they start to hear you as they come out of a doorway. They start looking and they're going, "Hey, are you okay?" And the other one sort of whispers to the first one that was asking you, and the second one kind of goes, or the first one goes, "Really? Are you Dr. Gibbs's granddaughter? Are you okay? Do you need some help?"
Yeah, can you guys help me? My foot. Can you help me to the nurse's office, please?
We haven't encountered the nurse's office yet. Where's the nurse's office?
It's and I give them directions, which is hopefully down a hall and turn down another hall so they can get out the door.
All right, so the both of them sort of rush up and take you under. They take an arm and put your arm over their shoulder under each, and they start to sort of basically carry you and lift you up a little bit and start to move you towards the direction. And they're starting. They're engaging with you. How did you hurt yourself? Are you okay? I understand that this was a previous injury. Did you re-injure yourself?
Yeah, it's. I feel like I'm like an old person because when the weather acts up, it gets really sore, and I just twisted it again, and it's just it hurts. And every once in a while, I have to borrow crutches from the nurse.
Oh, you poor.
It's just really hard.
Oh, you poor thing. And they continue to sort of carry you off, and Justin, you and Brick notice that they carry Nev far enough all down that you seem like you have an opportunity. What do you guys do here?
We take it.
How are you doing this? Are you rushing across? Are you grabbing? Are you trying to help Jenkins move along? Describe to me a little bit what you get.
You want details? Details?
I do want details because it may involve a roll.
Damn it. Okay, so I look at Brick, and I kind of like, come on, Jinx, let's go. And I grab one arm and I look at her to grab the other, and we try to get him up in the hallway and out the door as fast as possible with the way Jenkins walks. I can't think of any other way unless you if you have a better idea, give it to me.
Well, I had practiced with him one time. We were doing the hokey pokey, and we were, putting the foot forward and all that. And so maybe like keep singing that over and over, and it might remind him that I needed to keep moving while we do that.
Okay.
We try that.
Okay. Hokey pokey, put the left foot in, put the left foot out.
Yeah,
and
then we
then
just kinda
halfway
keep
through the
changing
hallway,
it.
we're walking
Yeah.
around. We turn around about.
I need you both to give me a sneak roll.
Sneak roll.
You only need one success here. You only need one success here, but I need a sneak roll.
Looking.
Come on, Brick.
I don't like that look on our GM's face. I think I have one luck left.
Okay.
I think Brick has like 5 luck.
The Brick does have some luck. I think Justin has 1 luck left, so both of you can roll again if you want to try to do this. You only need 1 success to make this happen, because as you the both of you are kind of moving with Jinx, and you're singing along to Jinx a little bit. Nev, you actually hear them shuffling on behind you, so I need a roll here, otherwise there's going to be some trouble.
Yeah, so I'll just like start crying.
Louder.
What?
Take.
You want to sneak for me?
I want a heart. I want a heart from you. If they're not going to re-roll, I want a heart from you. I want a performance here, basically.
Okay.
Nice. All right. So just describe the way that you start to sort of perform this up, and then I'll describe their response.
So she 100% remembers the shock, the feeling when she broke her leg, and she's definitely going to play into that, like the shudder breaths, the sob. That remembered pain is going to bring tears to her eyes, because this is actually a problem that she does actually have to deal with.
And so as you start to really kind of remember that pain, and that performance sort of comes out to you, you're having that real experience. One of them, the first one, was like, "Oh, you poor thing, hold on," and he reaches under you and just sort of picks you up and starts to carry you. And just they move faster, taking you down towards the office, allowing Justin and Brick to push back in, push towards the door and actually step out front. And out front drives up this weird sort of like large-ish sort of like beat up truck. It looks, give me a second, I got a cough. It looks like an old Chevy or Ford truck from the 50s or 60s. Well, sort of like loved, rusted out a little bit. On the back looks to be some sort of what once would have been like a camper structure of some kind. But it's more sort of like this weird sort of larger box back, and it's got like a door, like a thing on the back, a door thing that just like flaps down. But the truck just kind of pulls up and kind of comes around, and out sort of pops out this older gentleman, short, late 60s, maybe early 70s. Now, I'm going to point this out for the rest of you. If you guys are watching the stream, I'm going to bring up the image of Grandpa, and you all are going to recognize him. This is Grandpa. And so Grandpa sort of walks around and kind of looks at Brick and looks at Justin and says, "Well, where's Nev? Where is she? I see you've got Jenkins there, but where's Nev?"
She's back in the school. She faked getting her leg injured so we could get Jinx into the parking lot.
Yeah, she's totally fine. She said just not worry about it.
Oh, well, all right then. She's gonna be okay. All right. Well, just position him there, and I'll make sure I'll grab him. That shouldn't be a problem there. And he steps up into the truck and disappears into it. Leaving the both of you just sort of like standing there for just a second, trying to to do whatever you're gonna do with Jinx.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely there to like help Grandpa do whatever he needs to do to get Jinx into the truck.
Okay, so as you're kind of waiting there, you hear a bunch of sort of whirring sort of motions and some clunking, and for just a second, it sounds like the entire truck is going to fall apart. Then the side of the truck sort of like flares out and just like falls flat, and out pops this weird sort of articulated like gripper arm, and it just like reaches out and grabs Jinx off the top step and just kind of pulls Jinx back into the truck itself. And you can see that Grandpa's on the other side of this thing, sort of operating, and it's got these weird sort of machines, like articulated sort of like controls. I believe that it was in the 80s they were called the Armatron. It was like this weird sort of toy that was like articulated that you could buy from Radio Shack. It's that kind of thing. It just kind of reaches out and grabs and pulls it, pulls Jenkins back in. And then Grandpa kind of looks out. Get in the truck. I'm going to close this up. Just both of you get in the truck. Nev will be along shortly, I'm sure, and I'll send her a text. And the side of the truck begins to kind of flap up. And just kind of flare back into it. As Grandpa is just like making some other noises, and the truck is sort of like beginning to make those same sort of clunking noises again. What are the two of you doing?
Getting in the truck.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So as the both of you sort of head over to the passenger side and sort of jump in, you realize that the truck, while seemingly messy, is not really a mess. There are just lots of like various like tools and gadgets. There's a fishing rod and a fishing tackle box, but there's some other interesting things there. And you see that he's got an old CB radio. He's got an AM radio in the dash of this, and he's just got other little things. And Grandpa just sort of comes around and says, "God damn it, God, stupid machine! I'm gonna have to repair that thing." And you see he like opens up the door, kind of walks in and sort of slams and says, "Well, how was your day?" And that's where we're going to end it. So good job, guys. You have escaped with Jenkins. So, all right. Well, let's go around and do some outros, and then we'll get out of here and move on to the next thing in our night. So let's go ahead and start with Chris. Chris, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you're up to, and yeah.
Again, I'm known as either Ganza Gaming or Christopher Robin Negline, depending on where you find me in community content. In fact, today I just uploaded something for the Tiny D6 dungeon setting, urban fantasy stuff. Check it out. And I also play Justin Pritchett, who is a hick kid in Tales from the Loop.
Do me a favor, post a link for that in the Zoom, or in the Twitch chat. I'm curious to take a look at that as well, but I'm sure other people would like to look at that too. Sure. All right, and then next up, let's go ahead and go over to Chris Ann.
I am Chris Ann. I'm also Dr. Rubik's on Twitter, and that's pretty much my whole big thing. Having fun playing this game, done a few, and I'd like to be around more. So that's it.
Thank you. And last but not least, Amanda.
Hey, I'm Amanda, or Amanda Gitten, on pretty much almost everywhere, except on Twitch. There's an X at the end. Anyway, having a lot of fun with this. Yeah, haven't played Tales from the Loop before, so this is a lot of fun. And thanks for having me, Johnny.
You guys are actually welcome. I appreciate you guys all hanging out. We had some technical difficulties again. It's not a stream on this channel unless there's some technical difficulty that I'm trying to deal with. I am Johnny. I'm Video Store Cowboy. I'm here. I'm over on Unmade Gaming's channel. I do a podcast with Mike from Unmade Gaming. I'm over on Arvin Elleron's channel doing Esper Genesis, which good old Chris here helped put together and was telling us little details about the next release, which I want to talk to you about privately afterwards. This is Land of the Lost. This is a Tales from the Loop's West Marches game. We've got a group of people who actually will jump in and out of this. This first two episodes has been this lovely cast, minus Zeke, who couldn't join us at the last minute. So Grandpa Gibbs decided to join us in the Cosmo spot. This is basically a West Marches game. Anybody can sign up. Anybody can come and play. The story just sort of progresses along with whoever is available to actually play week to week. So if you want to join us, you can check out the link in chat that I'm putting in there right now. And you are more than welcome to sign up, and you'll be added to the conversation, and then we figure out from week to week who's going to be playing and what's going to be going on. I want to say you guys did a great job tonight. The story progressed along in a very interesting way. I wasn't expecting it to move like it did, or for the elements of Jinx's sort of story, Jinx's story to kind of get revealed, but you guys did fantastic, so thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it.
So fun.
It was. It really was.
It was.
You're muted.
Sorry. For those of you who don't know, Chrisanne and I are in the same room, and we're having to play Mike sort of like bingo, or we're just having to switch back and forth. So if I stop pause, she's able to talk.
And now it's my turn. If we do it at the same time, there's echo, echo, echo.
Right. So we're running into this sort of fun sort of thing, but you know, you do these things as when you're streaming in setups like this. So thank you everybody, and we will see you next week, hopefully at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're running a little long again tonight, but hoping for next week. So with all of that, thanks very much, guys. You guys have a great night. Thanks everybody in chat for showing up and watching, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.